One of the biggest decisions you'll have to make when designing a responsive website is what breakpoints you will need to use for your content on different devices. The first question you should ask yourself is, what screen sizes am I targeting? In order to know that, however, you need to know whether or not your site will be built based on adaptive or responsive web design. While both work on a basis of screen size, they differ greatly in how they come to those sizes. Adaptive, for instance, targets specific devices, whereas responsive simply targets different dimensions that are device agnostic. Some common adaptive breakpoints would correspond to devices like iPhone 5S, iPhone 4, iPad with Retina, regular iPads, Samsung Galaxy S4, Samsung GS3, Samsung Galaxy Tabs for tablets, Google Nexus 7 tablets, Kindle Fires, and Kindle Fire HDs. Responsive breakpoints are much simpler. They usually fall into 3 to 4 categories, like mobile phones, which have a usual minimum screen size of 320 pixels and a maximum width of 480. Tablets, which have a minimum width of 768 and a max of 1024. And desktop devices pretty much take on anything larger than 1024. The problem with using these cookie-cutter breakpoints, though, is that oftentimes it degrades the content experience. And these sizes are really hard to narrow down because devices are constantly changing in size and dimension, not to mention the fact that the content that you have for each project that you're working on is going to be different and react different at different points in the resizing of a browser. My philosophy is to let the content determine the breakpoints. Take my website, for example. If you view my website on a mobile device or a tablet like an iPhone or an iPad, you're definitely going to get a different experience. However, my breakpoints are determined by the content of the site and how it reacts at different screen sizes while I'm resizing the browser. Therefore, I've determined that I actually needed 4 breakpoints. A small breakpoint, which encompasses everything 480 pixels and under, a medium breakpoint, which is 481 to 592, a large breakpoint, which is 593 to 1279, and a desktop layout, which is anything over 1280. Now, basically what this means is that if you were to take my website and resize the browser window, something would happen when you get below 1280, something would happen when you get to 592, and something would happen when you get to 480. So I have 4 different layouts, and you can actually see how it changes each time you resize to those specific dimensions. I'm not targeting any specific screen sizes, though. I'm not targeting an iPad or an iPhone. I'm just addressing how things look and feel at these different stages of resizing my browser. Now, luckily for me, I'm a designer-developer hybrid, so I had the luxury of designing this and coding it at the same time. That way, I could easily test it out and see my breakpoints. If you're not a hybrid, that's okay. My suggestion would be to work closely with a developer and spend a lot of time analyzing your content to understand exactly what it's going to look like at each individual screen size. You can also use tools like Edge Reflow to help you with this, to help you understand the flow of the site and where those necessary breakpoints might be. For instance, if an image is too big to be next to a piece of text, maybe it needs to flow to a different line, and so forth and so on. If necessary, you could also take some of our responsive web design courses here at lynda.com to get a better understanding of this whole process. That way you can make more informed choices as you continue your design mockups.